wonderful Clarissa Sinclair for
Hello
Writers
there.
Rock and Writers Rock readers. Hello, darling.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so thrilled. I've been so stoked to interview you because obviously we have similar genres. Obviously, mine's sci-fi fantasy, but you're more fantasy and contemporary rather than what I do. But I've been so stoked to interview you because compared to a lot of us, you're a bit of a veteran. You've got quite a number of books out, haven't you?
I do now. I think I have 9 right now, and I have plans for probably 4 more this year at least.
It's fantastic. I must admit I might have miscounted. I thought you had 10, but either way, that's
there's a short story out there too.
There we go. That's why I got caught out. But I've been absolutely thrilled and excited to see you. And apparently you're having the same sort of dreary weather as I am at the moment.
I am in the Gulf Coast of Florida, and normally we have beautiful sunshiny winters, and today we are having thunder and rain and gloom. So I guess we won't be outside in the sunshine today.
Oh my gosh. Well, at least it keeps everybody indoors for a change.
So reading from my living room with the drywall, which is going to drive me crazy. This is what quarantine does to you. You do home repairs.
I've got to say, from where we're looking, it just looks like a beige, sort of beigey coloured wall. So I think we're good.
Okay, let's go with that.
So let's start by talking about your journey. I mean, you're in the same position as me. You know, mum, job, housework, juggling everything with not enough hands.
Mm-hmm.
You actually work for a police department, don't you, during the day?
I do. I'm a code enforcement officer. So I'm technically an essential person, and I am working half a schedule because we're really just not going after people right now for things they can't help. So we're just trying to keep housing standards where they should be and be nice to people.
Yeah. So how long have you been actually an author for? How long have you been writing? Has it been in conjunction with your full-time job?
No. I have been writing my whole life. I just got brave enough to put it out there for the world to read when I turned about 50. So, you hit that point where you don't care what people think anymore and you just put it out there. So yeah, and one of my very good friends is also an indie writer. She writes very sweet, usually Western romance or historical romance, and she encouraged me to just do it. So I did.
That's absolutely fantastic. And it is an issue, isn't it, for many writers where they have a story within them, mm-hmm. but they just don't have the confidence to actually go for it and do it. And you're absolutely right. I do think that the older we get, the more thick-skinned we are, and the more we realise that life is too short and we've got to go for it and chase our dreams.
There was definitely times in my life where a few bad words would have sent me hiding in a closet for a week. And, you hit that point where you're like, nope, don't care.
Yeah.
It's going to do it. So, and there have been, there's been some, you get those bad reviews, you get, random 2-star review on Goodreads, but they don't tell you why they hated your book, and you think about it and obsess over it, but I've learned to let it go.
Yeah. And I think even when you've been doing it a while, you do let them go. But when you initially see them and read them, it still gives you a little sting, doesn't it? As you said, especially if they don't explain why.
Right. At least tell me, just leave 2 stars and disappear. Like, what? What was it? Was it the characters? Was it, the plot line? Where did I screw up? But, don't just say I hated it and walk away.
Yeah. Although sometimes I do think maybe those reviews are from people that are just trying something new, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But
could be. Yeah, it's out of their genre. But I mean, the one was on like the 3rd book in my vampire series. So if you're going to jump into the 3rd book, I would assume you've read 1 and 2. Yeah. Maybe not.
Well, either way, your reviews are absolutely fantastic, and I was reading through them on Goodreads and Amazon and everything, and your review rating is like 4.4 out of 5, which is fantastic.
Something like that. I mean, I made my mistakes in the beginning. I made huge mistakes. When I first put The Evolution of Jules out, it was 2 separate books.
Right.
And the first one I put out, I got so excited to upload it. I uploaded the wrong version, and the less edited and proofread version went up, and I got some horrible pans for the grammar and spelling and formatting before I realized that it was my mistake. So I took them both down, revamped them, put them back together, and it became one book. It became The Evolution of Jules, and it's clean now. Thank you.
That's the thing, though. It's quite daunting, isn't it? Especially when you're doing your first book. You know, you're finding your feet, you're finding out how it all works, and it's quite daunting. So are you self-published, or did you go through a publisher?
No, I'm self-published. All of my books are self-published. I was absolutely mortified at my mistake, but I get it. I'm a little ADD. I get excited. I jump the gun. You know, it was my fault for not checking it.
It's easy to do, though, isn't it? When you first finish your first book, it's like you want to just show everybody your newborn.
True, that's very true.
I don't know about you, but I was so shocked at myself for actually doing it. I just wanted to sort of look at this, and
you want to scream it from the, and then you put it out there and you expect like 1 million people to read it, and then you find out that no, it's not quite that easy to get, to find readers. You have to advertise, and you have to push yourself, and social net, all the Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and try and get your name out there all the time. And I spend probably as much time doing that as I do actually, writing.
And it's tough because you've got 4 daughters.
Mm-hmm. They're all grown now. All my girls are grown, so I have 4 amazing daughters. In fact, my youngest one's drawing. She's going to paint my new cover for my new Dystopian book that I'm going to have out this year. She's working on that. And if you look at the cover for Blindfolded, that's my middle daughter, Emily, that her and her sister did the hair and makeup and took that picture, and I turned it into the cover for that book. So it's a family thing.
That's fantastic. I mean, they must be your biggest fans, which is absolutely wonderful.
Well, Emily likes to tell people her mommy writes porn. I mean, she's 30. It's not like she's 18 or anything. She's 30 years old, but lady porn, we like to call it.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, at least they get to, read your books and stuff. I've got 4 children, and because the characters that my characters aren't my family and my children, but I think they see some of their traits in themselves in some of my characters, so they're like, we're not reading that because it's just about, it feels like I'm reading about you and Dad. I'm like, no.
Well, I like to think there's a little bit of all of them in each of my heroines, because I try to keep strong, sassy women that end up being their own heroes in the end.
That's just fantastic. So for the readers who are watching at the moment, give us a bit of a description about your books. How would you describe your books to them?
Oh, well, my girls would describe them, like I said, as lady porn. Yes. They're definitely not for minors. There's, I like to be unapologetically honest.
It's erotica, isn't it?
It definitely leans in that direction, yes. I mean, it's not blatant porn, but it definitely leads towards erotica. My first book, Jules, she had a horrible, dark, evil life, and she was trafficked and sold, and finally found herself and found her own voice and decided to do exactly what she wanted, and ended up You know, again, being around heroin, that kind of seems to be my theme. There's nothing that drives me crazier than you know, the woman who's being hunted by the mafia, the biker gang, and the vampires, and goes to the mall to get a pedicure. You know, lining herself up for another kidnapping. So I wanted to make sure that, you know, I found the strength, because we all have to be strong in the end, I guess.
And I like the way that you're writing about, you know, something that's a real issue. I mean, obviously this, you know, we're in the day and age where, yes, slavery's been banned, but there are still women and children that are being, you know, sold and trafficked and stuff like that. So it's a very real topic to actually talk about. And I love the fact that you are showing strong women who go through hell but find the strength to come out of it.
Right. And in my vampire series, you know, I haven't pushed the Nesting Instinct series as much as I should. I still have 2 books left coming out, but one of my heroines was abused. She was beaten by her partner. The second one, she was a drug addict. The third one's kind of an awkward, unsocial nerd. And, you know, I try to cover all the bases, because we're all kind of fucked up in the end. Everybody has their own issues. So, I mean, it should be every woman that finds romance in the end.
Yeah. Somebody's commented, and I don't know why I'm not seeing the chats, but it's just come up on my phone, on my watch, actually. Was it? I don't know. I don't know whether that was actually a message, or whether Siri was actually answering something I spoke about. That's so bizarre.
Oh, well. This is my first Be Live video conference, so I'll just go with it.
Well, technology is always surprising me, so I'm learning as I go, which is a big part of being an author and obviously doing interviews as well. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, allergies. So what have you got in the works at the moment then?
Well, I just sent a book I've been working on about a year to the editor. I have a new editor I'm working with, Chantel Eddy, and we shall see how this goes. But it's about 100,000 pages that came about from watching too many episodes of Naked and Afraid on a rainy day. Okay. It just struck me, and I was arguing with my boyfriend about it, that, you know, you get these big tough men who think they can do anything, and they start whining 3 days in and tap out because they have bug bites on their balls and they're hungry. And it's the woman who was a soccer mom from Toledo, Ohio, who sucks it up and eats bugs for 17 days, stays out there on her own, and finishes it. So it started this whole dystopic plan in my head. So it started out being a dystopic survival story and ended up being more of a dystopic reverse harem. But the heroine is definitely the one that knows how to survive when the power goes out. There's no virus, thank God, because I would probably have to rewrite the whole book at this point. There's no human virus. It's a computer virus that takes all the power out. And that's pretty much everything. You know, all of our cars have computers. You know, there's the gas pumps and the money and everything. So once the computers and the power are gone, the world kind of dives back into the 1800s. And she luckily knows how to survive. So she keeps the people around her alive. And now, sadly, I've jumped and started a sequel, but this time she's in Florida. She's down here, and it's kind of along the same lines and the same situation, the same beginning, the same virus, but the sequel that I've started will just be an entirely different character in how she, manages to survive in a new world. So that I'm working on. I just have so many. I'm ADD. I have attention deficit disorder, and I probably have 4 works in progress right now. So
that's amazing, isn't it? That's the issue, isn't it? Because we have creative minds, our minds just don't stop, do they?
yeah,
You're trying to
yeah.
finish one thing, and then you'll get inspiration for the next one and the next
It just
one.
pops into your head, and you're like, and you got to start typing because you might forget it. So you just start working on it, and yeah, that's totally me. I have 2 books done in a series that I've based on. I thought there's kind of a niche for older women. Like, yeah, you see, all the heroines are 25 years old. So I call it Second Chance at Love at the Sunny Days Trailer Park. And everybody in the stories is in their 50s and 60s. And, they all have a backstory because, hey, we all do when we hit this age. So, it's going to be a whole series based on grown-ass women who still, who are still looking. So we'll see what happens.
I think that's fantastic. I mean, at this day and age, yes, the divorce rate is higher, but I think that's a lot more to do with women not thinking and feeling like they have to stay in a bad relationship. They can leave it now and move on, and it's now socially acceptable to do so. So there is a whole new generation of women, as you said, that are in a situation where they're restarting their life and having to date again and having the confidence to finally chase their dreams and go for opportunities. So I think you're absolutely right. I think that's definitely an untapped market there. And let's face it, there are more and more women who are, older in their 50s and 60s and so on, thinking about retiring, and they're going to want to read good books like yours about women like themselves.
And I live in Florida, and there are plenty of these 55 and over communities, whether it's houses or trailers or, condos, and they are very socially active. And, like we go to the one bar on the beach, and they'll have a band on a Sunday afternoon, and you can watch them, there's always the 2 old guys, and they're macking on the younger. I'm using that term loosely, but it's still a game, no matter what age you're at. So I just thought that would be realistic and fun, because when you hit my age, you don't always want to hear about her firm thighs. You want to know about the creepy skin and the cellulite. Okay.
Oh, sister, I so know what you mean. I've had 4 children myself.
Yep. I'm old and I'm tired.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. So tell me, as an author, are you a planner, or do you just go with the flow?
I'm a pantser. Actually, Blindfolded was my NaNoWriMo project from last November. First time I ever did it, I just stared at a blank page and came up with this plan. I like to create really good characters and then just see what happens with them.
Right, before we go any further, because not everybody has heard of that group, I'm actually a member myself, but just for those who are completely new to writing, explain what the group is about.
NaNoWriMo is the National Novel Writing Month, and the challenge is to complete 50,000 words in 1 calendar month. A novel, basically. And I thought, what a really cool challenge. And it really is amazing, because when you're on a schedule, you don't realize, just the satisfaction of typing in those numbers that you got your 1,500 words in. In November, you have Thanksgiving. We had a wedding out of town. We just had all these things going on, and still I managed to do it, and I was so excited. And I came up with this bizarre idea of a woman who ends up falling in love with a man she's been sleeping with, but she's never seen him because he blindfolds her every time he comes to her. So it's very B&D, very, very weird. But, I just went with it. And I like to create the person, maybe 2 people, maybe 3 people, and let them meet and just see where they go. So that's I'm definitely a pantser, not a planner.
That's fantastic. And it's a very good group because, especially for new authors, because it gives you motivation, as you said, to get it done, have a deadline, get used to having a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And there are prizes to be had as well, isn't there? Because don't you submit your stories? I haven't had a chance to participate yet because obviously I'm already well into my books already. But
just the accomplishment, the sense of accomplishment of actually getting it done, because I was sure when I had 2,000 words that it was just never going to happen. But it's pretty amazing what you can do when you're watching that clock tick down there.
Yeah, absolutely. So when do you find the time to write, and when is your favorite time? Do you have a particular time of day that you prefer to get creative in?
Well, I think I'm always writing in my head. I was just actually having this conversation when I'm driving in the car before I go to bed at night. Like, the stories are always churning, and then I just need time to get them out on, get them out of here and onto here. So I usually write in the evening. I've, he'll watch TV and I'll just sit there and type away. Now that we've been in quarantine and I'm on a half-day work schedule, I can write all morning, and that's fantastic too, because I'm a morning person, so I'm up and at 'em and ready to go at the crack of dawn. So I would rather do that, but since I have to go to work and all that, it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. No, I feel for you. I must admit, I prefer either really early in the morning or at night when everyone's gone to bed and I've got the house to myself and it's quiet.
I like quiet. But see, I have quiet now because all my girls are on their own. So it's just me and him and the Chihuahuas. So I have a lot of quiet.
Oh, so what are your plans then? Obviously, you've got books in the works and everything else. You also have a fantastic blog that you was telling me before we came on. Tell our readers about your blog, because I think it's the most fantastic concept.
Well, I've done, a couple of interview blogs and things, and I wanted to do something different. So I interview characters. I go back to the authors, and I've done some amazing ones along the way, and I'm just getting started. I can't wait to do more. And I ask them to climb back into their favorite character's head and do the interview from the character's perspective. So I'm not doing author interviews, I'm doing character interviews. So, there's just some of mine that I love so much that maybe these are questions. I give them a long list of questions and ask them to just answer the most obvious ones or the most interesting ones from their character's perspective. So it's a different way to revisit some of your favorite bad boys and heroines and villains and wherever. It's been some interesting characters.
I think that's absolutely
character fantastic. Witness.
I love it. I absolutely love it, especially because our readers connect with some of our characters so strongly, and and when I mean I'm you're probably the same. I'm a big reader, and when you're reading something, there's always questions in your mind, that you want to know about that character. So what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. We've got Gloria Carroll, who's joined us. Hi, Gloria.
Hi,
she
Gloria.
Says, nice you are, including 55 plus. Refreshing! Exclamation mark. Absolutely. And do you know, it goes both ways, doesn't it? I mean, I think it's absolutely fantastic that you're going to be, that you're including characters who are older and, as you said, aren't coming across absolutely perfect, because let's face it, none of us are. Everybody's different or got one foot bigger than the other, and we've all got our quirks. But it's also really, really nice that you're an author who started later in life like myself. I mean, I'm just a year and a half away from 50 and only just recently started. You started in your early 50s. It just goes to show that there's nothing to stop anybody doing it at any age.
Right. Right. And, I think when you hit 50, all of us have a story to tell. We all have a history. We all have, you carry a lot more baggage along with you, which makes you, in most cases, a more interesting person. You're not a clean slate. You've been
Yeah.
colored on. So it's, like the first story in the book, they've both lost people who are dear to them in their life, and it's affected them in very different ways, and in the end very similar ways, and then they finally cross paths and find each other, and they manage to rebuild what they've lost. So
Yeah.
I've got a few more in my head, cooking. I always have them cooking. So we'll see what happens there. But I'd like to have at least 1 and 2 out. And thank you, Gloria. I'll let you know when they're ready.
Oh, fantastic. So out of the books you've published so far, is there one in particular that's really close to heart, or one that it's just special for you?
I think the first one, Jules, is, I put it out there. Thank God I don't know anybody that's been trafficked, but I know a lot of women who've had really rough lives. So I try to take at least the emotion from those lives, and put it into her. It's that's the important part to me, is that you understand where they're coming from and how they feel. And in like I said, in the end, she ended up being her own hero. She wasn't waiting for her man to be her hero. She did it herself. And I think that's something we all need to do.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And as I said, nowadays, at least it's more socially acceptable for women to do that. And it's.
Oops. I think I lost you. Hello. I lost you, Beth. Hello. All right. Well, we lost Beth. So I'll dodge out of here, I guess. Okay.